Morgan Stanley is a global financial services institution. We help individuals, families, governments, and institutions raise, manage, and distribute the capital they need to meet their goals. Technology is a key part of how we do business, including handling very large volumes in trade settlements daily. We process millions of messages per day in our global settlements platform across major financial markets. We are creating our next generation security settlements platform to maintain our competitive edge. Hi, my name is Dhiren Shah, and I lead the team that is working on our security settlements platform transformation. We decided to approach this project in stages with the goal of developing a cloud-based, message-oriented solution that can horizontally scale, separate data stores, command and event handlers, and an idempotent system. For the first phase, we migrated from mainframe to Spring Boot apps. Second, we deployed Spring Boot apps to Azure Spring Cloud and ran a parallel production across few selected markets. The final phase will be scaling to markets across the globe and sunsetting our mainframe system. Azure Spring Cloud is at the heart of our solution, running modern Spring services for command and event handling and reporting. We are also leveraging other Azure services, including SQL databases for storing business data, Key Vault for managing secrets and zero trust, Azure Monitor, log analytics, and application insights for end-to-end monitoring, and Azure Networking for secure communications. Azure Spring Cloud is helping us run mission-critical systems on Azure, and we are moving more applications with the ultimate goal of sunsetting our mainframe systems for significant cost savings. We'll be able to expand our settlement business into new regions with shorter time to market. Thank you.
It's great to be back at SpringOne. Last year, we announced the general availability of Azure Spring Cloud, our managed service for Spring Boot applications, jointly built and operated with VMware Tanzu. Since then, we have seen customers building amazing solutions with the service. You heard Ajay mention customers like Swiss Re and Rallis, and you just saw how Morgan Stanley is using Azure Spring Cloud to power its trade settlements platform on Azure. Azure Spring Cloud is part of our commitment to helping Java developers be successful on Azure. In the last year, we have been doubling down on our commitment to Java. We have added more support in Visual Studio Code, including extensions to directly deploy and manage Java apps on Azure. Developers can use more than 30 Spring integrations to idiomatically interact with Azure services. And earlier this year, we announced the Microsoft build of OpenJDK, a no-cost, long-term support distribution of OpenJDK that is open source and available for anyone to deploy anywhere. We're providing value to Java developers in 3 key ways. First, we let Java developers build on their terms. They can use their favorite IDEs, build, and automation tools with Azure. Azure plugins for popular IDEs like IntelliJ let developers keep familiar workflows and be more productive. As an example, we recently released an update to our IntelliJ toolkit so developers can deploy Java apps and dependencies to Azure App Service in a single step with Maven. Second, Azure offers a full range of managed compute, database, messaging, and monitoring options for Java apps. These help developers build complete cloud solutions without worrying about infrastructure. Security is more important than ever, and Azure provides tools to secure your software supply chain, like Azure Security Center and Azure Defender. Third, we have a strong partner ecosystem that provides best-of-breed solutions on Azure. We have worked with partners like Redis, Elastic, Confluent, and many more to bring differentiated experiences on Azure for Java developers. Our partnership with VMware and VMware Tanzu exemplifies this work. We created Azure Spring Cloud to address common challenges for Spring developers. Working with enterprise customers over the last year, VMware and Microsoft recognize the need for additional capabilities in Azure Spring Cloud. Many of these customers are running thousands of Spring Boot applications on-prem and need advanced capabilities and support to accelerate their Spring modernization projects. Based on our learnings, we started work on a new Azure Spring Cloud tier, which includes commercially supported components to meet the needs of enterprise customers. Now we are excited to announce availability of Azure Spring Cloud Enterprise in preview. With Azure Spring Cloud Enterprise, you get the innovation of VMware Tanzu paired with the operational knowledge of Azure. You can choose the Tanzu components you want to use and run them on fully managed Azure infrastructure. You get advanced configuration capabilities like customizable build packs, and as with standard tier, you can integrate with Azure Platform Services and scale and deploy globally. All of this comes with expanded world-class support, including 24/7 Spring runtime support and access to Spring experts. Going forward, we'll continue to add new Tanzu components and capabilities with the same level of enterprise support. Now I will turn over to Balan, Partner Director of Program Management at Microsoft, to show enterprise in action. Balan?
Thank you, Julia. Hello, everybody. It's great to join you all at SpringOne. In the next few minutes, I want to show you how easy it is to get VMware Tanzu running in Azure Spring Cloud, the only fully managed PaaS for Spring applications built on top of Kubernetes. Let's head to the Azure portal and create a new Spring Cloud instance. I'm going to use an existing resource group, and I'm going to call this instance Pet Clinic. We made it super easy to provision the VMware Tanzu components available in the Azure Marketplace as fully managed services within this Azure Spring Cloud instance. All we need to do is pick the Enterprise tier. In addition to Tanzu services, the Enterprise tier also includes the VMware Spring Runtime with 24/7 support for the Spring ecosystem directly from VMware. A new tab is now available for configuring the VMware Tanzu components. For the preview, we're starting with the VMware Spring Runtime and these components. You can configure how much resources you want to allocate to these Tanzu components. For example, if you want to support faster builds and more builds in parallel, you can allocate more resources to the Tanzu build service. By default, we run all services in pairs with automatic failover for high availability. Now let's create this instance. Because Azure Spring Cloud is built on top of Kubernetes, we're able to bring Tanzu's cloud-native implementations of popular Spring Cloud services directly into Azure Spring Cloud. It's the same as running your apps in Tanzu on your own Kubernetes cluster, but with the SLAs, security, and reliability of a fully managed Azure service. The Tanzu app configuration service is now implemented as a Kubernetes config map, but it can still use a Git backend. Azure Spring Cloud takes care of validating and wiring up the application configuration service to the Git repo that holds the configuration for all our microservices. This instance already has a few microservices running. Now I want to show you how easy it is to create a new microservice and deploy our code to it. Let's give our new microservice a name. Azure is seamlessly integrated with GitHub, which means that we can now use a GitHub action to deploy to this Azure Spring Cloud instance right from my repo. The GitHub action uses the Tanzu build service running in Azure Spring Cloud to build the code using cloud-native build packs. These include open source build packs and Tanzu build packs that encapsulate VMware's deep expertise with Java and Spring. Tanzu build service also caches dependencies so that subsequent builds will be faster. Now we're ready to see our app in action. This is a familiar Pet Clinic application now running in Azure Spring Cloud using VMware Tanzu. Now I want to show you a few more features in Azure Spring Cloud. With service bindings, developers can wire up their apps to these services without having to worry about credential management or key rotation. Azure Spring Cloud also enables developers to build secure apps by default. All traffic within a Spring Cloud instance can be secured using end-to-end TLS without having to worry about operating a service mesh yourself. Microservices can also use Azure Managed Identity for authentication with other services such as databases and messaging. Azure Spring Cloud takes care of integrating seamlessly with Azure Active Directory to enable this secure authentication mechanism. For operations, Azure Spring Cloud gives you the right level of control and visibility. All apps deployed to Azure Spring Cloud are automatically instrumented, and logs and metrics are available from the get-go. A built-in application map shows the dependencies between your microservices and external services such as databases, leveraging the distributed tracing capabilities available in Spring Cloud. You can also switch to an individual microservice and quickly see its load and performance. Once you're there, you can easily scale up your application without having to worry about Kubernetes configuration. And you can also scale out your microservice instances and set up scaling policies using Azure Autoscaling, which supports many different triggers. You can also use Azure services such as application change analysis, how and when, which is invaluable for operations. One of the biggest considerations for enterprises is the compliance and security of their cloud deployments and operations. For auditing purposes, all operations performed on your apps and on your Spring Cloud instances are available through the Azure Activity Log. As a first-class Azure service, Azure Spring Cloud is also integrated into Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center provides visibility into your overall security and compliance posture and helps manage them through insights and recommendations. For example, Azure Security Center has found that all our microservices are available on the public internet and is recommending that we place our Azure Spring Cloud instance within an Azure VNet. Azure Security Center policies and insights are constantly being updated, ensuring that your apps and DevOps on Azure are always secure and compliant. You can also set up custom policies specific to your organization and deployments. There's a lot more here for Spring applications and developers. Together, VMware and Microsoft are committed to empowering dev teams everywhere with the most productive and secure cloud platform for modern application development. We can't wait to see the apps that you will build on Azure Spring Cloud with VMware Tanzu. Thank you.
Thanks, Balan. Azure Spring Cloud Enterprise offers differentiated value to enterprises that need greater functionality, configurability, and support. It's the only offering with fully managed Tanzu components, and is backed by the enterprise expertise of VMware and Microsoft. We invite you to join the preview today